Okay, so there's obviously something on my end because I have not got it here listed as anything that's come through.
Okay.
Course packages. Yeah, we've got some CSV files that just haven't run here. Inbox. Why are they moving? This inbox should be empty.
Hmm.
They're all 0-byte files.
Yeah. That's not cool. And October 14th was the last time that anything ended up in the outbox. Okay, listen, I don't think there's anything wrong that you did. None of the files that went through have come through. So let me add that to my to-do list and I'll start tracking that.
Okay.
Okay, I'll just... Okay, so I'll just track this and I'll add this to the actions later. Okay, so unfortunately, let's table that. Let's see what else was there. So don't worry, any of those actions that you were on your plate were not possible. So I'll take those back. Which means that the confirmation of a fix will wait. So everything is hanging off me now. The only other thing was the rubrics. This one here. Everything else is closed, according to this list. So the content tracker, rubrics are not included for any of the assignments, review building of rubrics in a rubrics course. So I'm wondering whether you had a chance to... Oh, by the way, you will see that the incident that I put in, it's been resolved. The top level rubric is gone, and I see you've already put a bunch of extra rubrics in there.
Yeah, I've built a ton of templates. I think I've got that pretty much figured out.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have our teachers copy them downward before they edit them, and
okay.
I think we're all good there. I'll let you know if I run into anything as we do it, but I think it's pretty easy now.
Okay, perfect. In that case, I'll just close that action item.
Yeah.
So in that case, the only thing that's left over from last week is me making sure that those courses go through. Now that I've got that file name, I should be able to find it in your SFTP location and sort of manually resolve and fix this. So bear with me. I will get that done as soon as I can.
Yep.
And then I'll let you know with an email update to this thread.
Okay.
Other than that, the other actions that are there for you will be pending until I can get that done.
Okay.
All right. So that leaves us with any other business. And I think we've got an org structure on the cards. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
Yes. We were wondering about messaging within the system and students getting notification emails, when work's been graded, when a message has come in, and we were under the impression that we were going to use intelligent agents to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we wanted to just talk about a little bit about how to set that up.
Okay. Anything else?
That's good for me.
Okay. All right. So notifications and intelligent agents. Let's start with notifications. So the notifications are student-centric. So all the notifications are available for them, but they always have to select it themselves. D2L's platform is that the students are responsible for determining what things they want in their notifications. So it's going to be a training effort to make sure that everyone goes in here and sets up what notifications they want, which would include, highly likely, that you're going to have notifications for announcements. You can see all of the options here, and yeah, we agree that this is a little too much for students to manage at times, and we have no way of automating the inclusion of these. But I guess for some of the senior students, this might be possible. Or, yeah, go ahead.
Can you change these notifications for a student? Like, could I just go in and set it however I want for a particular student?
If you can, yes, via impersonation.
Okay.
So we can't go in and review the settings for students and then set them in a bulk way, which would be lovely. But you can go in and do this on behalf of students by impersonating them and selecting those notifications.
Right. I'm just thinking there will be cases where we'll tell students to do this and they will not be able to figure it out, and I might just need to jump in there and just do it for them.
Yep.
Like, not every time, obviously, but once in a blue moon.
There's also this activity summary, which is mainly more useful, again, for senior and potentially instructors. And you can get that weekly instead of having all these instant announcements. To be honest, though, a lot of these, not all, will appear as little red dot next to these in the subscription alerts.
Right.
So some of them appear here, like a news post or a discussion, but this notifications really controls that via email.
Right. I think, like, for us, the biggest one would be, like, as it is now in Moodle, anytime you submit an assignment, you grade work, or you get a message from your teacher, you get an email notification about it. I don't think they need the notifications about work being graded and whatnot, because, you know, if they care about that, they're going to be in the LMS looking anyway.
Okay.
But the one thing I would like is them to get some sort of notification outside of the LMS when they have a new message. Because if you're just constantly, if you're waiting for a message and you have to log in and check your messages within Brightspace, you know, every 10 minutes because you're waiting, that's kind of irritating. It'd be nice if they could just get an email about it.
Okay, so they're the two that you need.
Yeah. And same for our teachers. Like, actually, it's more important for our teachers to be notified when work is submitted and when students have sent messages, because those are the big action items for them.
When work is submitted.
And that
What was
includes when the student sends them a message.
Okay. And that when you say message, you're talking about via instant messenger? Or instant messaging?
Yeah, so we want all of our communication to happen in the LMS. We don't want any external like emails going back and forth because we can't monitor that. Okay. So that's how we have it set up now. There's no email. Like, the occasional email gets exchanged, but generally it's all within the messaging system within the LMS.
Okay, and when you say messaging system, are you referring to at the top here? We've got either you've turned off instant messaging, so it must be email.
I guess so. I think when we first started talking about this, Labneet was saying there was sort of like one way or the other, and she made it sound like if it was just an instant messenger that there was no way to have an email notification, and I think we were confused about the difference between the two options anyway.
Okay, adding that in.
Marty, what's the best practice in terms of student-teacher communication when it's either submitting work or asking a question? Like, we just want to make sure that there's, all parties are well aware when there's an action or a trigger on either side.
Yeah.
Okay. There's two pieces there. What I can share with you is that we've had success, and I'm just trying to find a post here, Brightspace discussion boards on YouTube. I'm going to send you a link right now. This is a case study, or this is something that has been shared with our teams, and so I'm going to share it with you. This is how a faculty member has used discussions for communication, because she's found that it actually kills the need for having to monitor emails via the system or the instant messenger. So I'm going to send that into the link. Send that right now. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask, I'll just keep talking slowly while I find the button. Oh, okay. So this is the link, and I'll just pull it up on the chat. Okay, it's in your chat. So what I would recommend is I would encourage you to look at the discussions tool as your communication strategy for within a course. Then you can use notifications. So the instructor can turn on notifications and use the updates widget. So have I introduced things to you that are like, what?
I'm just thinking. I mean, I guess I need to watch this demonstration video first. But what if students want to have private conversation? Are they setting up discussion boards privately so no one else can see, or is it this wide open to everyone in the course? Or
it is possible to create discussions that act as a journal. So you can basically automate the creation of a topic for each student. And you can have a personal conversation within the discussions tool, which is a back and forth, and it keeps it in line with the other things that the instructor would have with, the teacher would have with maybe general class discussions. So everything's within that discussions tool.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and it's a little advanced feature. It was released only in the last 8 months, maybe. So it's not hugely known, but it's using as a journal. I've already got a thought to send you a blog post about that. So I'm going to add that, and I've got to send you using discussions as journals. That's what I would do. Or investigate. That's what I would investigate.
Yeah.
For best practice, it's very hard for me to recommend best practice with communications in a course because there's so many options. But keeping it from my perspective as a K-12 educator and history working with and delivering some online courses, keeping the instructor in one space is better than having them split into 2 or 3, and also for the student.
Oh, sorry. Started watching the
Hi.
video. I will pause that for later. Yeah, a nice organized, communication all in one place. That makes sense to me for sure.
So that's where I would start. I know it might be a different avenue to where you're going, but that way discussions can be deleted, but there is a history log. So posts can be monitored. You can have more granular control, and it allows you to keep that discussion.
Okay, well, welcome everyone to our first webinar.
All right, sorry again.
That's okay.
I have closed the window.
No problems. This was shared internally, and it was on our we use Slack internally. Slack is a
we use Slack.
Okay, so it just got shared, and so I wanted to pass that on.
Okay. If
Okay, so that would handle the communication, the back and forth type of communication, both publicly and privately. When it comes to notifications, either triggering a teacher that they need to grade something, or a student that something has been graded, that requires individual user level, opt-in permission?
Kind of. So I wanted to cover the notification side first. I think we've done that. That's the opt-in notifications, but I wanted to highlight there's this updates widget here. And the updates widget should be able to provide you information about whether how many discussion posts are unread. So this doesn't provide you with that email alert, but it does provide, if I'm flipping now to, the updates is for both instructor and student, but do you want me to now focus on let me rewind a little bit. D2L does automate a delivery email for every Dropbox submission to the email system, the whatever email that is for that user in our account settings. So that's just one thing to be aware of. We still do that, just like Moodle. Every user will get an email saying that it was submitted successfully.
Okay.
If you want to start now looking at emails to faculty and faculty alerts and notifications, I would look at the updates widget. It does have a bunch of things in there that will be displayed, in addition to intelligent agents, which is basically an email alert based off a release condition. And that's where I would put in the teacher's details. And the intelligent agents can then help automate based off any release condition.
Would that be time consuming to set up for everything?
You can set them up once and then they copy over, but if you are trying to do this on behalf of teachers, there's two things. You'd have to go in and add their email address in,
Mm-hmm.
or they go and do it themselves. So you can set them up, and then they have to go and add their email and activate the agent.
Right.
So it doesn't have that automation that I think you're looking for, but I'm pointing you in that direction. But the updates widget should help a teacher front and center be aware of what is still outstanding.
Yeah, so that would list any quizzes that need to be graded, assignments that were submitted, discussions that were not responded to, pretty much
Yes.
everything that they need to worry about.
Yeah, and I would encourage you to look at what the summary emails do, these summary of activity, and to turn these on as well.
Okay.
And a lot of these notifications, this discussion one, once that's enabled, the next level would be to subscribe. Then the teachers okay, I'm going off on like multiple tangents here. First thing is notifications. Okay, understood. Each teacher, each student has to go in and do this. Recommended, announcements, discussions. Okay, now next step that we talked about was flipping to the teacher view, and we have intelligent agents and the updates widget. Now, with discussions, if I create a discussion of one, so if I'm going to go into create let's try this. I'm just going to create a new forum. Here, where is it? You've got these options as well. So if you did want to have one discussion, you could have it moderated. And they would just never approve anything. It's a bit messy, but that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
So test forum. I'm wondering if the variable's on. Let's have a look here. New topic. Here we go. I'll have to get back to you on this one. It's been a while since I went in, but it's done through the groups tool. Okay. So let's pretend that I'm starting over, and I'm just going to go in and make sure that I essentially create a group of one for all of my participants. So new category. Here we go. I'm back on top of it now. Journal. Journal comes. And this is where I put in here single user, member specific. To set up the discussion area. And I can actually set up an assignment submission folder too. So if I was being more having a, no, let's not go there. That's probably not a good use case for you guys. So, but it's possible there if you're actually doing this as a group work.
Oh, I see.
Hit save. What this should do is then create, we can have the choice, create one topic per group, which means that each student gets a topic, or create one topic with threads separated by group. Students will only see threads from their own group, which means they'll only see their own. Right? So this is what I think I've done now is provide you with a bunch of next steps to investigate, which is my job here to help you explore the system. Test area, create a next. And I'm doing this in a rush, so I'm kind of skipping over. But anyway, 2 groups were created because I had 2 students. And I just have to I've already saved, so I'm just going to hit cancel to get out. Yes, it's a bit weird, but anyway, here we go. So now I have my journal, and here I have all of my students.
So let's say I have this set up, and then afterward, another student joins. Do I have to create a group for that student at that point?
You may have to. Yes.
That will be the way it's going to go. The course is made, and then students are joining after the fact.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if that's
through any integrations, you may be able to automate the group creation as part of that, but I can't guarantee that.
Mm-hmm.
However, Okay, good point. So I'll finish exploring this as an option and then we can move on to another one. But within here, it's very important to subscribe to the discussion. So because I created this, I'm naturally going to be hopefully subscribed to it. Let's go into the discussion tool itself. So you should see right down the bottom. Here's my test forum. Is that the one I did? I should have called it a better name. Did I just skip through something real quick? Sorry, team. What did I forget to do here? Oh, okay. I know what I forgot to. I knew what I forgot to do. It set the groups up, and then I just needed to. No, I did. I set the discussion up. Oh, there we go. That's what happens when I try and do stuff too fast. Mm-hmm. I should jump right to it. Here we go. There it is. No ratings, etc., etc. So we're good to go. And I was going to show you that. It took me to edit view. Actually, don't want to be in edit view. I can subscribe. Now, as soon as I've subscribed to this, I can then choose notifications in minibar or some of the other options. Now, I don't have email. That's why this isn't working, but instant notification via email or include my summary. So this is the power part that I wanted to add to finally from that summary. If I wanted to get a daily summary as a teacher, I would have an hour in my day or half an hour allocated purely to office hours where I would review the summary email from the previous day or whatever, and then I could act on it and at least know where to jump into.
Right.
Or I have a rule set up in my inbox where I have all the instant notifications and I set the rules up so it will just go into my email. Okay. Whatever. Okay? So that's the final piece that I wanted to show you. But the key and critical part is, one, notification has to be on. I have to do this myself in here in the notifications area. I have to enable it for discussions first. Otherwise, I won't get an email anyway. Mm-hmm. So I have to configure in here, including the summary, first. So priority one for anyone is configuring that.
Okay.
Then I can go in and subscribe to those forums or topics that I need, and then I'm going to have those automated emails come through.
Right.
This has been the model that we've used for a long time, student-centric, but we understand that there is, this is too hard for for some people, including day-to-day instructors. They're just steps that are forgotten or missed. Mm-hmm. So I emphasize it as a training step for your team. Please make sure that you encourage them to go in there and set that up.
Yeah, we can pretty easily, not easily, but we will definitely make sure that the teachers follow all these steps. Like we'll go over that with them so they're all set up properly. As far as the students go, I think the students that are, I'm not totally convinced that students need notifications about everything, because if they're working on the course, they're in it regularly. Our teachers, depending on how many students they have, they may not be logging in. They may only log in once a day. So that's why I like the notifications for them more so. Back when we first started talking about the messaging system, Lavneet said something about how there was an internal option or an external option, but you couldn't do both. And I don't know if I misunderstood her or if that rings any bells with you.
Okay, so basically it's to do with email. And we have two choices, really. It's, hey, do you already have a student account email system, an official email, whatever email that they use in the world, whether it's your Google or your OneDrive or their own personal, whatever comes through an official account email. You can we would send emails on behalf of your email system, which means it's external. If I go to the class list tool and I select send email, select and send an email, it's going to be sent from Brightspace,
Mm-hmm.
and then get into your system, and any response or reply from those emails will actually go into your own email system. So we are the initial launch point, and then the conversation continues in your official email system. This option is preferred for some of our clients who like the logging of their own email, because they have a full log. They can do everything with their SMTP server, so they can do whatever they want, and they can do traces and auditing and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the popular model.
I don't think that would be our choice, because we don't have like student emails we give.
That's cool. So yours is internal, which means that all of the email you say to us, hey, D2L, can you also handle our internal email? And we're like, yeah, cool, we can do that. So we have a very basic email system that allows you to send and receive messages, basically, inside our system.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone gets their own unique internal email, which would be username at blythe.brightspace.com.
Right, and there's no
configure external if you want. Like you could allow them to forward it to their own and whatever.
Oh, so they can like auto forward it to their Hotmail or something like that.
Yes, I think if you give the permission. I haven't worked with internal for a while. Let's have a look.
That's what we were talking about with LabNeat, because I like this option, the internal. But I also wanted the students like to get an email notification, in Hotmail or Gmail about this message. And she was like, if you choose the internal option, there's nothing going external. You can't do both. Okay,
well, that's technically true. However, you can forward out of our system. So here is the forward incoming messages to an alternate email address.
Mm-hmm. See,
you can't respond once it's been forwarded. It's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, once it's been forwarded,
and honestly, I don't want them to respond outside of Brightspace. I want them to see in their Gmail app or whatever, oh, I got a new message, but then I want them to go into Brightspace. I don't want them to reply. I don't want anything going back and forth outside. I just want that initial notification to go outside.
There are permissions that allow you to receive from external into your internal inbox. So if they were to hit reply, and this would have to be validated because it all depends on the from field that's in the metadata that's sent from our system, but you could test it, and there are a very granular set of details of permissions for email. So I believe that if I did set the forwarding, and then for some reason I responded to myself or responded to an email, it would reply probably back to me. So you'd have to test how that works and turn off any permissions that make it confusing.
Yeah, I mean, right now students will get a Moodle notification that they have a new message, but it's just from like a no reply email address. If they reply to it, it actually goes to me, I think, because I'm set as a system administrator.
Yep.
And then I just reply back and say, don't reply here or something.
Yeah. No problems. So it sounds like there's another area here to explore.
Yeah, I'm going to have to play around with the messaging and see, exactly. But it's good to know that, yes, your version of internal email is basically what we're calling messaging in Moodle. So
understood.
We're on the same page there.
And it sounds like we have more robust options than we were initially led to believe. So I think we have enough configuration options to get to where we want to be. We just have to probe into it a little bit further.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find some time to play around with it. And Marty, I might send you a few notes here and there if I get confused.
Sure thing. Email is worth exploring with scenarios, and then at that point, well, if you're like me, I'll just jump in and start playing and figuring it out from a student perspective so I can understand the scenario and the workflow, and then I'll hit the documentation. But if you're not like me and like the other 50%, you'll go through the documentation first and then try it out. So one way or the other, you'll get there.
Yeah, I think I did try way back. I created like a dummy student and I tried messaging and I was not sure what was happening. So I'll look at it again.
And the final step.
Adam can probably role play a little bit.
Yep. So I'll hit up the super admin permission so you can emulate with your own system accounts and everything, and email, and the access, see address book, blah, blah, blah. And then we're basically internal, so you can see externals will turn off, which is fine. But you may decide to receive from external, which means that you can get them coming in from outside if you need to. Manage email forwarding options can be enabled so that you can forward that out. So there's a couple of permissions here to explore. Forward received email. And everything else mainly for external. When I see internal email addresses, which you can't see right now. You kind of, if you're using internal, you probably want to see these on.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, super admin permissions, you should have these checked off, I think, for any of, because you are using internal, and you'll probably want to see the addresses of all the people in the system, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to hit save because I think this is a good learning exercise. If you head on in there and view internal, check that out as an initial point to review those permissions. And I can obviously support you with that.
Okay.
So give it a go, try it out. And if you're cautious about it, you can try it out with an admin role or a dummy role or whatever you want, because it's connected. These are special. There are often permissions that are not just tool-based, but they are access-based. You can see this is one of them. Every role you have, you're going to have permission to say, is this role allowed to send to this role?
Right.
So there's a couple of extra considerations here.
Okay.
I'll add that to my list here. All right. Okay. I can review your progress next week.
Yes.
Cool. Right, so I'm going to circle back, and I think the next part of this was intelligent agents.
Mm-hmm. Marty, just before we wrap up the notifications and email piece, because I think it's been helpful, and I understand the pedagogy about being student-centric and whatnot, but I'm just curious how or why, or if it's even possible, that we shouldn't be setting a default notification profile for our students, and beyond that, quite honestly, for our teachers. And if we want to allow them to opt out or change the default, so be it. But it's going to be a ton of operational lift for new students to sign into Brightspace who don't set their notifications properly, and then they're going to be jamming up our support inbox, wondering why they're not getting messages they're expecting, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
I will forward you the product idea exchange, which is probably in the top 10 that needs voting up with your input on that, because this is a popular request, and I am hoping that this is something that we can tackle as we move into more autonomous CPE. It's something that we really do need to have set up by default. So I'm going to do the digging in the pie, the product idea exchange. I'll send you the link, and I'd love it if you can go and vote that up. Our teams do try and put in the percentage of product ideas into each release. As you've probably, if you're looking at some of those release notes each month, you will see that we call out those product idea exchange items. So I will do that for you. I'll do a little search and send you the links.
Sure. Yeah, I would imagine it's quite a common request for any organization of scale.
Yes. And by the way, I should have mentioned that next month a release condition is being added, which does an unenrollment. For the first time, we've got a release condition that can perform an enrollment action. This is useful for you to consider that. Let's say someone completes a course in an ongoing manner. You have courses that are just continuous. It means that if you've completed it and you wanted to just keep a user license level, so to speak, you could unenroll them from that course because it's done, and it would remove it from their list. Also,
would be powerful, yeah.
yeah. So I'm just letting you know that that is on the release for this month, for December. Sorry, next month. So go check it out. It might be useful for you. It was not
Absolutely.
around during the consultation process. We have sometimes things come in within a month or three, up to, we only see static solid items on the train about 3 months ahead. So I'm letting you know that this probably wasn't around when Lovely did her initial consulting with you. I actually only found out about it coming out this month. So they managed to somehow develop it and slip it into their web process, and yeah, so there you go.
Okay, great. And is that release condition for unenrollment only, or is for enrollment as well?
Currently unenrollment.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just wanted to let you know about that.
Yeah, very cool.
So I'll also do the Pi thing, and that'll help with the understanding of increasing the ability for maybe even a profile policy, like new users pick up this policy, which would include, configuration settings and default notification settings. That would be awesome. That's how I would solve this problem.
100%. Yeah, I'm a little surprised that we've gotten this far down the road with Brightspace and it hasn't been implemented. Yeah,
and it's because of what I said earlier, that whole student-centric approach, which is still leading the pack at the moment. But I suspect that we should be able to do something. I hope something will change soon. So let's have a look at that, and I'll talk to our dev team and see if that's actually on the radar.
Fantastic.
All right, so I'm just building my action list here. Okay, intelligent agents. Let's just quickly jump in here. Have you had a look at the tool at all yet?
A few months ago, maybe a month and a half ago, initially.
Okay. So this would be okay for use with a ongoing course, because the intelligent agent can be set to trigger, and it won't run again for a user that's already completed. So you've got two options. You can run it and continuously email out a full list. So it'll always email if something has happened, even if it's happened in the past. Or it'll email once that object has been achieved, and that's it, which is probably the more common one.
Mm-hmm.
And that allows you to, if you have one course and you have an instructor that jumps into that course and it's an ongoing course, and correct me if I'm wrong, that is the model that you've mostly got, ongoing.
Yeah.
Yep. Then the intelligent agent becomes a critical part of that setup. Excuse me. And let's just call this intelligent agent what it is. It's a email alert configured based off release condition. And this will allow you also to set up that login and course activity. So this is good for students and teachers alike, or anyone that's responsible for academic achievement maybe, or mentoring. No one's turned up for the last 20 days in this course, 30 days. So you can have some agents that are set up like that and email them to specific people. You do need to have the schedule set up so that it'll actually run. You could run that monthly, daily, weekly, repeat every 1 week, repeats on Sunday night. No, Monday. Okay.
Could you have an intelligent agent send like an email about a student not logging in for whatever amount of days to someone outside of the system, like a parent that doesn't have a user profile?
I'm going to say, if I put my sales hat on, I say, of course. Now, if I put my implementation hat on, I say, yes, but you're going to want to use an auditor tool, because an auditor tool, which is included, allows you to connect a person, like a manager, to an employee, or a parent to a student, or a academic mentor to a student.
Right.
It adds another level of complexity for you because you need to set that up, but it's there, and there is information for you to explore on that. If you need, there is an API for that as well.
Okay, so that's sort of like a parental access level.
It's really not quite. We have Brightspace for Parents,
Oh yeah.
right, which is in limited availability. And I'm not too sure whether it was around when Lovely was discussing this with you, but it has a heavy reliance on a use of OneRaster, which is a format for importing things into your system. So I'm going to just hold that into a parking lot for when Lovely returns, because I'm not too sure what has or hasn't been discussed with that one.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah. I'm not at that level anyway. The parental access thing, like that's something I gotta do at some point, but that is after the courses are built and this and that. So.
Okay, and that's likely. So future interest, there will be a tool for Brightspace for Parents. It will have prerequisites, and you can inspect those. And actually, you can look at Brightspace for Parents information online right now.
Okay.
I guess I'm going to send you a link.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
But in the meantime, the auditor tool does exist, and it allows you to have an auditee-auditor relationship, CSV import, or API. And then you can use features in the Intelligent Agent that will actually send automatically to the auditee or auditor.
Right.
So we've got initiating users, auditors. And that's why I mentioned it, because there's a connection between this tool and the auditor tool, which is worth exploring for that future.
Okay. That makes sense.
And that's how you can do that. When earlier you mentioned you wanted to send an email to specific person, so this would be part of that solution. Otherwise, you'd have to set up an agent and email it directly each time and change it each time.
Yeah.
So I can use initiating user, which means if I'm a student and I complete something and this agent is designed to send me as a student an email, I would use initiating user here.
Okay.
But if I want and then carbon copy academic success, like this student has failed 10 times in a row to complete this quiz. Okay. Send them an email going, hey, looks like you're having trouble with this. Did you want to reach out to one of this blah blah, put email address there, or contact us on this form or whatever, and then you could email the success manager as well.
Right.
So that's why I like discussing auditor tool in combination with this, if you've got the time to look at that in the first wave. Otherwise, later phases, you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, set up the agent to go to the teacher, set up the teacher's address here, and whenever the criteria is met, it'll send. And I can add a release condition, which could be completed a quiz. Or so you could look at the midterms or any of those, sorry, not midterms, the key milestone quizzes that you have in a course, and you could set an agent up so at least someone's going to get an email, completed quiz attempt.
Okay.
Things like that, grades, anything in here, and you've got posts and score or no posts. So that it gives you a huge amount of flexibility here. Also, date of enrollment.
So we'll have to do this. We'll have to set up intelligent agents within each course at the course level?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no policy to set an agent and then put that into each course. However, a same thing goes with rubrics. You can you can add these to your master and have all these agents set up, which you could then select and copy in.
Right. I mean, it's interesting because I think course by course, the milestones are different anyway, and maybe we do want to customize it by course as to how we do this. So we'll have to think about that.
Okay.
But you will have some generic ones for you guys, right? Like when a student completes a midterm or a final, that's going to be helpful for the admin team as well as triggering payroll,
Oh, definitely.
And so on and so forth.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. So those would have cross applications regardless
Yeah,
of the
I think you may have a mix of both. Some that get applied generally and then specific for the course.
Sure. And Marty, I don't suppose there's every course is different, every school is different, but like maybe a recommended bare minimum or few release conditions that Brightspace or D2L advocates that, the general population uses? and
We don't-
reasons why?
We don't really. However, on the community teaching and learning group, a lot of the questions you're asking about best practice, I feel would be listed in documents on some of these topics and groups in the community. So, and if they're not there, then they can be asked. And I'm feeling that that's a good area to start. Let me add that to my list as well, just to see if I can get you the right area.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
Sure, it would definitely be helpful.
I've explored some of the forums like when we first got going, and I honestly wasn't sure where I was looking, what I was looking at. So
Yeah, I know how you feel, and I think the administrator one is good, and I'll send you the link there. But also, there's a group called Teaching and Learning, which is strategic, and there's a group for instructors, I think. So let me just do that. I will find out where to send these questions. But yeah, that's it's under notes. But yeah, the intelligent agents would be set up per course.
okay.
And again, there's so much flexibility there. But to help answer that question, the big ones are non-access to a course based off their enrollment date. For continuous courses like yourselves, if you're running a course where they get enrolled, you can specify a 30-day limit or 60-day or 90 to send an email to somebody just to check in on their performance after 90 days, regardless of what they've done. And it could be nice, and that's done to make sure that you have, or if you have like a limit of time that they have in a course, then that email is sent and it helps you downstream to automate via rules in your inbox process.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As you see, we don't have a lot of policies in place for this. We are email driven because a lot of the time, if we were to build a bespoke process, it's probably only going to fit. We can't build one that's going to map to everybody's needs. And email has a workforce and process built behind it, and everyone can use it in their own way. So that's why it's heavily email focused.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we've kind of run out of time. I will get back to you as soon as I can I've got a bunch of actions here, so I'm going to be doing, looking for the pie, looking for some places in the community to send some questions. I'll start confirming some information on intelligent agents. I'm going to send you some email information, send you a link to the auditor information. You've already got the best practices. I'll just include that anyway. Bright Space for Parents information. I'll leave that for now because you'll be able to find that when it's launched. So that's a bunch of actions on my end, including finding out why the import from the SFTP failed and getting on top of that. So I have a bunch of things to do for you. Your end, I think, is looking at the email configurations and permissions, simulating and making sure that you're okay with a student being able to forward or instructor being able to forward, getting your baseline permission set, and testing that out, and then coming back to me with questions for next week. I think that was the major takeaway.
Yes. I still want to explore how to build some sort of, master course where we can have that like introduction section that is standard in all our courses, and I can make changes to it whenever I want, and it will go down to all the others. I need to work out how that is sort of going to come together.
Okay, I'll get on to looking at your portfolio and seeing what solutions we can put in place for that.
Okay.
And we didn't get to our roles and our org structure discussion. But
No, and I think that's part of that I just mentioned anyway.
Okay. So our agenda for next time will be lighter. We'll include and start with this instead of, we'll go through our actions, hopefully, then we'll start with this, and then we'll do any other business after that.
Sounds good.
Okay, I'm going to be busy. I've got a few meetings this afternoon, so if you don't hear from me until Friday afternoon, that's when I'm expecting to be able to get back to you on some of these things.
Sure.
But if this is Monday morning, is that going to be a deal breaker for you?
No, I've got plenty of things to do before then.
Okay,
Anyway.
thank you. It helps me balance the priorities for me with Friday, the last day of the week, coming tomorrow.
Mhm.
So I do appreciate that, and I will get this back to you as soon as I can.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna play around with the messaging anyway, and I don't need anything from you to do that, so that'll keep me
Excellent.
occupied over the weekend.
Okie dokie. Any other questions?
I'm good.
I'm good. Thank you.
Alrighty. Thanks, everybody. I'll talk to you again next week.
Alrighty.
Thank
See ya.
you.
Thanks, Marty.
No worries.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, are you guys still there?